You can tell a lot about a technician or any HVAC guy or girl out there by what they leave behind in the tool bag and what they carry with them in the tool bag. I have a lot of tools I've accumulated over the years. I mean, I started in HVAC in 1994 and don't do much field work anymore, but I have a bunch of tools that have followed me for a long, long time. Every tool has a story. For a while there, I first got onto YouTube. I thought it was really exciting to buy field piece heads. This is the amp head that went on the old electronic handle that I had. You can actually use these too with the stick meters. You can put the leads right in here, and like the HS35 and 36, I think, is what the model numbers were, and use these things. So it was pretty cool. I used them with the wireless heads, and you could put them up in the attic. Before I had any of the other fancy tools, I had this thing with me, and I used it a lot. It's a good tool. This is something I used all the time. For those of you who watched my videos, you knew that I use this all the time, but I might not have ever said where I got the idea. You know, Yellow Jacket makes these single test gauges, but I didn't get the idea from that. And if you're wondering here, it's just any gauge connected to the Yellow Jacket part here. I think it's 19110. If I got that correct, that's something, because I use so many of them. I saw this on a video with Eddie Leverich and Fritz Rochester. For those of you who have watched YouTube for a long time, you know who they are. I saw them using this, and I said, they were using it for a different purpose. I said, this is perfect for testing systems out. So I carried these with me, even, I would say, to this day. I mean, they're still here. I love these things. They're simple, they're effective, the batteries are never dead, and they never disconnect. The fabled cheater cord. Whenever you need power and you don't have power, you have your neutral, hot, and common to get your 125 volts or 120 volts, depending on where you are in the country, or 110 or whatever. And then you'd end up hooking your neutral and your ground to the ground, and then you'd hook the hot to L1 or L2 in a condenser, or you'd rob it off a disconnect or something like that. There was a fuse in mine right here. The very first time I used it, I was using it with a vacuum pump and it blew the fuse. I took the fuse out, wired it straight through, and used it ever since. That's one of them things that probably isn't smart, but that's what happened. And has a little light that comes on down here and worked really well. I think this is Zebra Instruments stuff, for those of you who remember Zebra Instruments. I don't know if they're even around anymore. They had a lot of the variable speed motor checkers, and I used to use one as like a portable thermostat where I kind of tie in with alligator clips to an air conditioner and then cause the functions to run. And it works pretty good unless you have an analog thermostat, like a mercury thermostat. Sometimes that's not as good. Some of you probably know why that is. If you know why it is, put it in the comments. I think it's RJ45 crimper for Ethernet cable, unrelated to the trade. One socket. A spring bender. This was a purchase I made because I was just gonna say, I don't need a ratcheting bender. I'll just get a spring bender. It'll be easy. I'll be able to bend the copper easy. No. This is awful. After you use a ratcheting tubing bender and using a spring bender, it's like putting down your MacBook for a calculator. Look at these bad boys right here. These nice offset snips. We got our reds right here. These are from Harbor Freight. I got these because they cost $7.99. It was a long, long time ago, and man, they are okay. They really are okay. They're not that bad. But I've never had a pair of snips, which I bought one of these before, that the actual jaw broke in half. So they're not as good. And just for reference, Midwest is still the best. A basin wrench, unrelated again. These are sheet metal tongs. They have a patent number on them. Fairmont Tongs. And it says the W.F. Gameter Company in Cadiz, Ohio. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can get that in there. And on the other side, it says drop forged in the USA. I don't know how old these are, but I'm gonna guess they're about 50 years old at least, 70s or 60s. And you know, when they say they don't make them like they used to, they don't make them like they used to. I guess they can't afford to. I guess they lose out to countries overseas. And in large part, that's because we've chosen that to happen. We don't spend money on things like this. We go and buy stuff at Harbor Freight. I'm guilty of it quite a bit. They might have tape on the handles, but these are Malco Tongs right here, I do believe. And they are really, really good. But I mean, these have a bunch of pieces, a bunch of nuts and bolts on them. These aren't ever getting broke. If you break these, you've done something. I mean, you've accomplished something. These, the handles come off of, but they're still pretty good. What do you guys think about the tools nowadays? Do you think the tools are on par still? Do you have a tool company that you think makes something that's of high quality still? There's a lot of cheap stuff floating around out there, and I know it's tempting to buy it. I bought plenty of it. But in reality, if we buy this, we don't ever have to buy it again. Or maybe we don't buy Hart products, we buy Milwaukee products. I don't know. You guys tell me. That's just a little trip down memory lane, getting some of the tools out. I thought it'd be kind of fun to take you guys along for the ride. My name is Zach Scioto. I'm the host of the HVAC Shop Talk podcast. You can find us on all the podcast outlets. And it looks like my time is up.